If you are a green card holder living in the United States right now, you need to stop everything you are doing and pay very close attention to what I am about to share with you. Major policy changes have just been announced that could fundamentally alter your life, your ability to stay in this country, and your path toward citizenship. This is not speculation. This is not rumor. These are real changes that are happening right now, and if you are not prepared, you could find yourself in serious trouble. I have been covering immigration policy for years, and I can tell you that what we are seeing right now represents one of the most significant shifts in how the United States government treats lawful permanent residents in decades. The rules are changing, the enforcement is intensifying, and green card holders who do not understand what is happening could lose everything they have worked so hard to build in this country. So please, whether you are a green card holder yourself or you have family members or friends who are permanent residents, make sure you watch this entire video and share it with everyone you know who might be affected. The information I am about to share could make the difference between keeping your status and facing deportation proceedings. Let me start by explaining exactly what has changed and why it matters so much. The Trump administration has implemented a series of executive actions and policy directives that target green card holders in ways we have not seen before. These changes touch virtually every aspect of what it means to be a permanent resident in the United States, from how you are monitored by the government to how you travel, what benefits you can access, and even how you eventually become a citizen. The first major change involves something called the Continuous Immigration Vetting Initiative. This is a new program that fundamentally transforms how the government monitors permanent residents after they receive their green cards. In the past, most of the scrutiny you faced happened during your initial application process. Once you had your green card in hand, you were largely left alone as long as you followed the rules and stayed out of trouble. That is no longer the case. Under this new initiative, every single green card holder in the United States is now subject to ongoing, continuous background monitoring. Your file is connected to an automated system that cross-references multiple government databases, including criminal records, financial information, travel patterns, and in some cases, even your social media activity. What this means in practical terms is that the government is watching you in ways it never did before. If certain flags are triggered in this automated system, your case gets referred for additional review. These flags can be triggered by things you might not even think about, like extended travel abroad, changes in your employment situation, certain financial transactions, or any interaction with law enforcement, even something as minor as a traffic ticket. Now, I want to be clear that for most green card holders who are following all the rules and living their lives without any issues, this monitoring system will likely run in the background without causing any problems. You will not receive notifications that you are being monitored because, in a sense, you always were to some degree. This new system just makes that monitoring more comprehensive and more automated. However, if you do trigger a flag in this system, you could receive a notice demanding additional documentation, or worse, a summons to appear at your local immigration office for an interview. And I do not need to tell you how stressful and potentially dangerous those interviews can be, even if you have done nothing wrong. The key lesson here is documentation. You need to keep meticulous records of everything related to your life in the United States. Your travel history, your employment records, your tax returns, your lease agreements, your utility bills, everything. If you are ever called in for an interview or asked to prove your compliance with immigration law, having organized records could save your status. Now let me move on to what might be the most impactful change for many families, and that is the dramatic expansion of the public charge rules. The concept of public charge has existed in immigration law for over 100 years. The basic idea is that immigrants should be able to support themselves and should not become primarily dependent on government assistance. This is not new. What is new is how broadly and aggressively these rules are now being interpreted and enforced against green card holders. Under the previous guidelines, only certain cash welfare benefits and long-term institutional care at government expense were considered in public charge determinations. The new rules expand this dramatically. Now, a whole range of government assistance programs can be held against you, including SNAP benefits, which most people know as food stamps, Medicaid coverage with some limited exceptions, Section 8 housing vouchers, and public housing programs. Here is where it gets really concerning for green card holders. Traditionally, the public charge test was applied mainly when you were first entering the country or adjusting your status to become a permanent resident. Once you had your green card, your use of benefits was largely your own business, as long as you were not becoming completely dependent on government support within 5 years of entry. The new guidance changes this calculation significantly. Now, your entire history of benefit usage after receiving your green card can be considered in future immigration applications, including and especially your application for naturalization. In other words, if you have been using food stamps or Medicaid or housing assistance, that information could be used against you when you try to become a citizen. Let me be very clear about what this means for you. Using these benefits does not automatically make you deportable. The threshold for deportation based on public charge is still relatively high. However, if you are planning to apply for citizenship in the future, your benefit history is now going to be scrutinized in ways it was not before. Immigration officers may ask you about it directly during your naturalization interview, and your use of government assistance could be used as evidence that you are not a suitable candidate for citizenship. So what should you do with this information? First, do not panic and immediately stop using benefits that you and your family genuinely need. Your health and safety have to come first. But I strongly recommend that you consult with an immigration attorney about your specific situation, especially if you are planning to apply for naturalization in the coming years. Also understand that benefits used by your United States citizen family members, including your children who are born here, generally do not count against you. This is specifically about benefits that you receive directly as the green card holder. If you are in a position to reduce your dependence on government assistance and become more financially self-sufficient, now is the time to prioritize that goal. Build your savings, look for better employment opportunities, and document your progress towards self-sufficiency. This documentation could be very valuable in future immigration proceedings. Now let me talk about travel, because this is an area where many green card holders are getting caught off guard. Green card holders have always needed to be careful about spending extended periods of time outside the United States. Staying abroad for more than 6 months has traditionally raised questions about whether you have abandoned your permanent residence. And staying out for more than a year without a special re-entry permit has typically resulted in your green card being considered abandoned entirely. What has changed is the level of scrutiny you now face when returning to the United States, even from short trips abroad. Under the new guidelines, Customs and Border Protection officers have been given expanded authority and explicit instructions to question returning permanent residents much more thoroughly than before. This was always technically within their authority, but what we are seeing now is a dramatic increase in how frequently and how aggressively these powers are being exercised. Green card holders returning from trips abroad are reporting significantly more secondary inspections, even for trips that lasted less than 30 days. Officers are asking detailed questions about employment, residence, family ties, tax compliance, and intentions going forward. They are asking to see evidence that you actually live in the United States, things like lease agreements, utility bills in your name, bank statements showing regular activity, and letters from employers. Officers are also asking pointed questions about travel to certain countries that are on enhanced vetting lists. If you have been traveling to any countries that the administration considers high risk, you can expect even more intense questioning when you return. So what should you do to protect yourself when traveling internationally? First, keep your trips as short as you reasonably can. I understand this is not always possible, especially if you have aging parents abroad or business interests in your home country. But be aware that shorter trips raise fewer questions and create less risk. Second, if you absolutely must travel for an extended period, apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. This allows you to stay abroad for up to 2 years without your green card being automatically considered abandoned. It is not a guarantee that you will be readmitted, but it demonstrates your intent to return and maintain your permanent residence. Third, always travel with documentation proving your ties to the United States. Carry copies of your lease or mortgage documents, a letter from your employer, your most recent tax returns, utility bills, and bank statements. Keep copies on your phone and in your carry-on luggage so you can access them quickly if an officer asks. Fourth, when you are questioned at the border, answer honestly and calmly. Getting defensive or evasive is the worst thing you can do. Officers are trained to detect deception, and any sign that you are being untruthful can escalate a routine inspection into a serious problem that could threaten your status. Now I need to discuss the pathway to citizenship, because there have been significant developments here as well. The basic requirements for naturalization have not changed. You still need to be a permanent resident for 5 years, or 3 years if you are married to a United States citizen. You still need to demonstrate good moral character, pass the civics and English tests, and take the oath of allegiance. What has changed is the intensity of scrutiny applied throughout this process. Processing times have increased dramatically. Where naturalization applications were being processed in 8 to 12 months in many jurisdictions, we are now seeing wait times extending to 18 months or even longer. If you are planning to apply for citizenship, you need to factor in these extended timelines. Naturalization interviews are becoming more thorough and more intense. Officers are asking more detailed questions about your entire history in the United States, your travel patterns, your employment, your family situation, and yes, in some cases, your political views and understanding of American government. While you do not need to hold any particular political beliefs to become a citizen, your commitment to the Constitution and American values is being emphasized. Good moral character determinations are being applied more strictly than ever. Issues that might have been overlooked in the past, such as minor tax discrepancies, old traffic violations, or any involvement with law enforcement, are now much more likely to require detailed explanation and documentation. If you are planning to apply for naturalization, start preparing well in advance. Do not wait until you are eligible to begin gathering your documentation. Start organizing your records now. Review your entire immigration history and make sure everything in your file is accurate and consistent. Get your tax situation in perfect order, including any required foreign bank account reports. Consider hiring an immigration attorney to review your case before you submit your application. Finally, I need to address the fears about deportation that many green card holders are experiencing right now. Let me be direct with you. Permanent residents can be deported. This has always been true. Certain crimes, immigration fraud, national security concerns, and other serious issues can result in a green card holder being placed in removal proceedings. What has changed is the enforcement priority and the willingness to pursue cases that might have been deprioritized in previous administrations. If you have a clean record, if you obtained your green card through legitimate means, and if you are living a law-abiding life, the chances of you being targeted for deportation remain relatively low. Enforcement resources are limited, and they are focused on cases where there are serious concerns. However, if you have any criminal history whatsoever, if there are any issues with how you obtained your status, or if you have any other complications in your immigration file, you need to consult with an immigration attorney immediately. Do not wait until there is an enforcement action against you. Be proactive and address any potential issues now while you still have options. So what is the bottom line here? Stay informed because things are changing rapidly. Document everything about your life in the United States. Be cautious about travel, and always carry proof of your ties to this country. Understand how benefit usage might affect your future immigration applications. Consult with professionals if you have any concerns or complications. And above all, do not panic, but do take these changes seriously. If you found this information valuable, please share this video with every green card holder you know. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. Leave your questions in the comments, and I will do my best to address them. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves and your families, and I will see you in the next video.